My time had come. I'm actually really happy with 21st on this. I was way out of my depth compared to some of these players, especially in the start. Look at the CP. I'm 0.2 behind without even making a bigger mistake. So let's actually see what these guys are doing. Yeah, so just for one round, I always like to watch one of the top players just to see the lines. He is obviously SDing everywhere. Well, I'm interested in how he takes this. Yeah, pretty much the same way as me, just a bit more precise. Don't think my problem was ever the latter part of the map. It was always the beginning, like the first half. The more dirty part. See, right now you gotta drive a 51 pretty much to stay in. And my PB is 52.0. So clearly I do not belong here anymore. Now let's see. So Paul is still in and didn't know he was that good at dirt. He's obviously known as a tech player. So he's also having some troubles here in the start, but at least gets the downhill smooth. Already catches up to Hugo there. Right now Matt is completely dead, had to respawn. I think at this point there's not a lot he can do. So we're gonna watch the fight for that 14th place. Hugo trying to catch up to Paul, who I might have jinxed at the beginning of the round. Paul is dropping down quite a lot, will need a massive SD if he wants to save himself. Let's see, maybe he can catch up to Helsinka. He is doing very well now. Helsinka is in a dire situation. It's all about this one, but I think he goes way too wide there. Like, even if he gets more speed than Paul, it's definitely not gonna be enough. And that's gonna be Helsinka together with Matt going out. I think he tried a bit too hard there to get the SD. It's really not needed to go that wide. We still got some usual suspects in, like Riolu, Scrappy, Gwen. Spam is still in, if I remember correctly as well. And Marius, of course. Let's stick to Paul, because I think he's gonna keep having these troubles in the start. I can definitely relate. What a mistake there by Ice. Ice went flying and he's definitely out of this one. Looks like Darker got a slowdown there. I might have just had to release. So Paul just might get saved yet again, but Mika with a mistake there, so the others will know that they can't afford to save it. Two players 8+ seconds behind. Hugo, what is he doing? Oh no. How do you make a mistake there? Let's see, where is Ice? Ice is gonna have so much more speed. Oh, he's catching up, but I think Hugo just has too big of an advantage. But ASEAN has respawned. He's still in front. Oof. That was a lot closer than I anticipated. Seemed like Ice and Mika were completely dead, but then Hugo and ASEAN made life a bit more difficult for themselves than it should have been. I've never seen anyone fail there on the left where Hugo failed. Let's investigate next round maybe. Like, what did he maybe jump too far on the left? That was really weird. So we see two players opting to go over the sander. Seems like it does work out. And yet again we see Paul having to catch up. So far he's getting saved by some mistakes. And fair play to him, he's just driving steady, keeping up his own pace. And it's been working well. I mean, he's in the top 12. This time he will need to step it up a bit in the end. This is by far the closest round we've seen, so it's like Gerard and Paul are quite at the back. But Marius dropping down super hard as well. This is gonna be really hard in the end. Who's gonna take it? Marius is far behind. Who gets the worst bounce? Looks like Gerard Filosh, who was 11th anyway. Didn't manage to catch up any places there and ends up getting knocked out together with Marius. So Paul, even though he's having trouble in the dirty dirt section, is doing really well in the latter part of the map, where it's more about SDing. Seems like Hugo is lagging a bit, so he joins Paul at the back. Right now Evon also dropping slightly behind. The rest of the pack are pretty close, and as I say that it's Scrappy joining Evon. Paul gets some airtime, and I think this is finally gonna be the round where we see the end of Paul. Oh, Darker with a huge mistake, so that's one spot down. Now maybe Paul can hope for another mistake. This time Hugo doesn't make one. Let's see if anyone goes flying here. I think everyone keeps the grip, so it's all about just making the finish jump now. See, nobody's struggling really, and Paul goes out together with Darker in this one. That ending jump is really interesting, because even if you kind of miss a line, you can just turn really hard and then you actually make it directly into the finish without having to bounce off of the roof. So we see Elcon going there over the sand. We know Elcon is a keyboard player. I'm not sure about Asian. Might be another keyboard player as well, just trying to make his life easier for himself. But we have Down, who's at the back at this point, together with Hugo, but we also know that there's only one knockout, so we only have to worry about one player here. Now Down can still catch up this much if he has a ridiculous SD in the end, and he's already catching up to Hugo so much. So Hugo avoids the mistake there on the left. Now needs to get a very smooth downhill. Gets a nice drift, catches up just a bit, and looks like he's doing this a lot better than Down. Down is going down very quickly. And in the end, it's gonna be Down going out. Hugo there with a mad SD, not Neo slide of course, in the downhill. And overtakes Down. Saves himself and gives himself at least one more round. Alright, so Spam went out, who knows when. But we still have Riolu, Scrappy and Gwen, who were all in top 5 yesterday. So we might be looking at something similar. Then we have a couple of newcomers, but also well-known players. Probably the most, let's say, out-of-place person here is Asian, but I think we've also seen him in a couple of these Division 1 races. So surely a player who's capable of holding his own on these maps. So once again we do have Hugo at the back, but this time I think he will require a mistake from one of the players up ahead. There is no way he can catch up this much on pure pace, even though Scrappy is getting some airtime and Hugo is catching up so much. But that's just not gonna be enough. And Hugo goes out. To Scrappy there with a small mistake, but I think even if Hugo had gotten it straight into the finish, it still would not have been enough for him. So after flirting with disaster for a couple of rounds, Hugo is out. And we're down to top 6. We might be seeing Riolu winning another one here. Still has 5 players to contest with before he can celebrate another one. Now in this round, Evon is a bit behind. It's still fine as Elcon catches so much dirt there. Or sand rather. But actually it doesn't slow down that much because the turn was really hard. So he was able to catch up back and get the proper speed for the next section. Now it seems like Scrappy is down. We'll need to do this a lot better than in the previous round. He is gonna go for the full no airtime. But he's just too far behind to catch up to anyone, so unless anyone crashes in the finish, this is gonna be the end for Scrappy. And Gwender with a really sick time goes under 51. So Gwen once again throwing the glove in Riolo's face, showing him that he's definitely capable of winning this. So this line is clearly just as good, and look at the start by Alcon. Gets it so good. It looks like we had a slight mistake there by Riolo. This is still fine. He's too good of a dirt player not to be able to catch up this much. So he's still within striking distance of the rest, I would say. But will need to step it up in the latter part of the map if he wants to overtake Evon in particular. Now he is coming back so hard here. So it's up to Evon to strike back. Who's gonna get the better drift? Looks like it's gonna be Riolo now, all about this downhill. Did Riolo get some airtime? Looks like he did, and looks like he won't be winning the second one in a row. Actually could have saved it, but just did something similar to Scrappy 2 rounds ago. Got airtime in the downhill and just wasn't able to come back anymore. So top 4 right now. I'm not sure if Evon or Alcon have won a cup in the day. We know that of course Gwen has won many of them. But Evon is the person finding himself in a whole lot of trouble early on. Already a 0.4 down, and Gwen and Alcon look to be pretty safe in this one. So maybe Evon can pull Asian back into the fight for survival. Gwen just keeps pulling away, but Alcon keeps dropping down on the other hand, so Evon is catching up bit by bit. This is gonna be super close in the end. Evon with a much superior drift to Asian actually overtakes him. Now it's all about this downhill SD. Who's gonna get it better? Who's gonna get more exit speed for this reactor boost section? Asian is catching up. Who's gonna get it better? But Asian actually saves himself. Asian with a sick downhill SD gets more speed than Evon and just zoops past him in the very last section of the map. So we've got Gwen versus the 2 sand players there. And it's been working very well for them, that line. But straight after that, Asian finds himself in a little bit of trouble now. 0.3 behind Alcon, who again goes over the sand there on the left. So will allow Gwen to catch up to him. Asian is coming closer as well. Very nice dirt section there. So coming up to this jump, Gwen so close there on the right, but manages to survive. Asian is only dropping down further and further. So he will need another one of those miraculous downhill SDs. That was a very sloppy drift, didn't carry too much speed, gets airtime as well, so this should be the end for Asian as long as Alcon and Gwen don't do anything stupid in the end. And both of them with very decent times. Gwen again with another 50. So it's gonna be Gwen versus Alcon. Interesting to see a keyboard player making it this far. Which just goes to show that maybe some people complain too much about their input devices. Sometimes myself included. Because as we can see, keyboard is just as good as a pad on most of these maps. So here we go then, Gwen already with an early lead. Let's see if Alcon can maybe do this a bit better. Now this time he doesn't go over the sand at all and actually goes up in the lead versus Gwen. So now Gwen has some slight catching up to do. Now Gwen with an inside line there, doesn't catch the sand on the right, will allow him to overtake Alcon once again. Very risky jump, but Alcon is just staying strong, not allowing Gwen to take the first place. So Gwen will need a monster downhill here. Oh, Gwen with risk, and this is a free end for Alcon here, who just needs to finish at this point. And Alcon wins this cup of the day with a very respectable time of 50.877. A very, very good time to finish it off, and Gwen really had to step on it in the final section if he wanted to have a say in who wins. But yeah, Gwen with a mistake, and Alcon deservedly takes it.